So I am here at COP running an intelligence unit that is looking at disinformation threats. So it's looking at the lines of attack that are being used by opposition movements around the world to oppose climate action and to try and mislead the public about what's happening here in Sharm el-Sheikh. One thing that's been really stark is the resurgence of out-and-out climate denial. So if you go onto Twitter at the moment and you type climate into the generic search bar, the first result that is returned by the platform is #ClimateScam, followed by #ClimateEmergency and #ClimateCrisis. But right up there at the top is climate scam. And that is a conspiracy that we are seeing really take flight again across social media. It's not unique to Twitter. And there is a lot of associations now, people criticizing institutions like the World Economic Forum and implying that environmentalism and the green agenda is all part of some elitist plot to control populations and to take away their civil liberties. So that is a really big strand of disinformation that continues to gain a huge amount of traction and engagement. Another that we're seeing is a really subtle form of disinformation, which we're calling sort of woke washing. And it's happening via the fossil fuel industry. It's also happening via state actors, including China and Russia, and by a lot of pundits and commentators in the West, in the US, in the UK, and in the EU, who are opposed to climate action and are co-opting language around things like human rights or neo-colonialism in order to justify continued use of polluting technologies. So we're seeing arguments like Africa should be allowed to maintain its reliance on fossil fuel infrastructure because otherwise it's a form of Western imperialism. The net zero transition is a form of Western imperialism. Equally, you'll see arguments that say electric vehicles are entirely invalid because rare earth minerals that are essential to creating that technology are mined in countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo and China. And therefore, EVs have a poor human rights record and nobody should use them. And in all of these things, there are legitimate conversations to be had, but the point is, it's an incredibly narrow and cherry-picked view of both what the science says and also what these countries themselves are advocating for. And we know that, the African gas lobby and the African Energy Chamber, who have scores of lobbyists here on the ground at Sharm el-Sheikh, are in complete opposition to the actual climate activists and climate justice professionals and scientists from the region who say, no, we want to pivot to renewables. We don't want to continue using these technologies and suffering the impacts of climate change. So those are two really key forms of disinformation. Another one that I would say is a real ramping up of attacks on climate activists and climate movements. And in particular, we are seeing that rhetoric become a lot more violent. There's a lot more use of sexual assault and kind of gendered violence, as well as incitements to violence. And that is a major concern for us because we've already seen a lot of societies are struggling with violence in the streets against racial politics movements, against abortion rights movements. And we believe that climate may well become the next target for that. And in particular, youth protesters like Fridays for Future, Just Stop Oil, who are on the front lines doing non-violent direct action, that they may become a target for vigilante justice movements that are opposed to climate action.